Hi there, Doc from Barcast Audio here, today to talk with you about civil procedure essays as tested on the bar exam. In this video, I'm going to be breaking down the 7 most important civil procedure subjects to study up on to make sure you're prepared for the essay section of the uniform bar exam. Let's jump right into it. Before we get started, be sure to subscribe to this channel for more of these videos. Be sure to check us out at barcastaudio.com, tutoring lessons, audio outlines, essay attack sheets, everything you need to pass the bar exam. We have it at barcastaudio.com. Okay, let's jump right into it. So first off, understand that civil procedure used to be tested on every version of the uniform bar exam in the essay section. In 2015, it was added to the multiple choice section, so it is no longer tested as frequently on the MBE, but now you can still expect it to be tested in one form or another on the multi-state essay exam. So what are the most important subjects to study up on if you're preparing for the essay section of civil procedure on the bar exam? Number 1, personal jurisdiction. Now, personal jurisdiction is the most commonly tested civil procedure subject on the essay section, and if you're being tested on personal jurisdiction, you're going to really want to know the differences between specific and general personal jurisdiction. Next up, keep in mind subject matter jurisdiction. Now, I know subject matter jurisdiction, personal jurisdiction, if you've taken civil procedure in law school, you're not going to be surprised that these are 2 of the more easily and frequently tested subjects on the bar exam as well, because they are very mechanical and very frequently tested simply because they are easy to test. The rules are sort of the rules, and bar examiners feel safe withdrawing that knowledge from law students. So I'm sure that you have some vague sense of what subject matter jurisdiction is, but for those of you who don't know, federal courts only have the ability to hear certain types of cases of certain subject matter. And when subject matter jurisdiction is tested on the bar exam, there are really 3 categories of subject matter jurisdiction that are tested. Just like we had personal and general for personal jurisdiction, I want you to go through this sort of checklist if you are getting a subject matter jurisdiction. And they are 1, federal question jurisdiction, 2, diversity jurisdiction, and 3, supplemental jurisdiction. Now, again, I'll make a video where I dive into these subjects in a little bit greater detail, but for now, just keep in mind, if you do get subject matter jurisdiction, go through the rules for each of those. Go through, hit each possibility, hit all of those rules so you're getting the potential points there and allowing yourself to analyze, hey, this is a case where diversity would not apply, but federal question would apply and supplemental would not apply. Go through that process, spell it all out for the examiners because that is just going to give you more of an opportunity to score points. I've talked about this before. When you're building your rule statement sentences, you're really setting yourself up to apply the facts of the hypothetical to those rules, and that's where the points are scored in connecting those 2 things. So go through these 3 categories of subject matter jurisdiction. If you want to score maximum points, go through each of them, see how the facts apply to each of those rules, know those rules, and you should score well if you do have a subject matter jurisdiction and you go through that entire process. Next up, the 3rd most important subtopic to keep in mind if you're being tested on civil procedure on the bar exam is the topic of venue. Venue is always an important topic if you're studying for the MBE or the essay section. Now, when venue is being tested, venue typically tests the rule for venue being transferred to a more appropriate forum. Do you know that rule? You should, because that is something that will pop up on the bar exam on the civil procedure essay questions. It is the most commonly tested issue in the subtopic of venue, so you want to know it. You want to know the general rule. So if venue is being tested on the bar exam, they are generally testing the question of whether a transfer is appropriate to a more appropriate forum. And this is regularly tested again, and the rule to remember there is, I'm sure you know, venue is proper in a district where any defendant resides if all defendants reside in the same venue or state. 2, in any district where a substantial part of the events or omissions giving rise to the claim have occurred. Or 3, a substantial part of the property that is the subject of the action is located. So those are the 3 general rules to keep in mind when discussing venue. Also keep in mind this sort of sub-rule when thinking about venue, and that is the transfer to a more appropriate venue. Now, federal courts have the power to transfer a case to another federal court, another federal district, at the convenience of the parties and witnesses and in the interest of justice. But keep in mind, when the parties are transferring or moving to transfer a case to a more appropriate venue, the new forum must have subject matter and personal jurisdiction, and the court will apply the law of the transferor forum. This is kind of a tricky rule, so keep in mind, don't get too mixed up by it. Next up, let's talk about temporary remedies, like preliminary injunctions and TROs, or temporary restraining orders. Generally, if one of these subjects is being tested, you're going to get both of them, TROs and preliminary injunctions, because generally, if in the fact pattern where this kind of pops up, a party will seek a TRO and will seek a preliminary injunction while that TRO is pending. So go through the rules for both of them, and that's how you'll get the most of your points if you see these two things tested together. Now, understand when a TRO can be, so in order to really maximize your points here, you're going to want to know when a TRO can be issued. I'm not going to dive too deep into the rule for that, but also you need to know when a preliminary injunction, what a preliminary injunction is, and when it can be applied, when a court will issue a preliminary injunction. And understand when notice, what kind of notice is required of this process. All of that is what you're going to need to know to really crush these kinds of questions. And it's not totally outside the realm of possibility that they would pop up on the essay section of the bar exam. Now let's dive into the final two of what I consider the more important essay subjects to be tested on the bar exam as far as civil procedure. First up, civil procedure frequently tests issues related to final judgments. What I'm really talking about here is that generally final judgments are appealable, whereas non-final judgments are not appealable. Now, of course, like every rule on the bar exam, there are exceptions to this rule. Notably, there are exceptions where there are cases involving multiple claims, multiple parties, and some of these are still pending, and also where orders involve injunctions, garnishments, or other temporary remedies. Also, orders related to collateral matters. So it's not necessarily straightforward, the subject, but understand when parties can appeal, a lawsuit can appeal, an order can appeal a judgment. Now, finally, what I would consider one of the more important subjects related to civil procedure essays are the preclusion rules. They are the issue and claim preclusion rules. Know both of them, understand when an issue can be precluded from being brought up at trial, when a claim can be precluded from being relitigated. Generally, issues that were actually litigated and decided and essential to a judgment in a previous lawsuit cannot be brought up again. They can be precluded. Similarly, for claims, a claim that has been actually litigated to a final judgment on the merits cannot be relitigated by the parties or those who have the same party interests. So those are the rules. It's pretty straightforward, the preclusion rules, but people often kind of stress about whether those rules apply when they see a hypothetical calling them to apply those rules, and they start to sort of melt down. So this has been a brief video just kind of running through the most important essay subjects. We didn't dive too much into the rules themselves, but go through this list, understand it, make sure you know the rules that I discussed. Make sure you know the subject matter front to back, because this is how people get jammed up on the exam. They just kind of skip over subjects that are ultimately pretty commonly tested, ultimately fair game for the essays. They don't feel that these things are going to come up and they sort of yada yada them and then they end up getting burned. So I want you to make sure that doesn't happen to you. Watch this video, write down the rules I talked about, make sure you understand those rules. If you need help to memorize those rules, be sure to check us out at barcastaudio.com. We have essay attack sheets, essay templates, everything you could need to pass the bar exam, audio outlines, audio flashcards. We have it over there at barcastaudio.com. Be sure to check us out over there. Until later, be sure to subscribe to this channel. I will talk to you guys soon.